It's the way Singapore wakes up. Wake up, Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman. Wake up in the morning feeling like Kiss 92's Big Show.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to Good Morning, Doctor. It is a lovely Wednesday morning, and we have the lovely Dr Wei-Stekly with us. She is an obstetrician and gynaecologist from Gleneagles Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Wei.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
We're so happy to be here, and we're so happy to be your first as well. Your first radio interview. Now, Dr. Wei-Stekly, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, a woman's pain.
Yes.
We go through this on a monthly basis from the time we're about, and I think the ages are getting lower these days, but during my time it was maybe 13, 14, till the time we're in our late 40s. Tell us how bad period cramps can be for some people.
Okay, period cramps can be quite variable. So some ladies can have no pain at all, and these are the blessed ones. But there are women who have very severe, debilitating menstrual cramps affecting their daily activities. However, most of us will have mild to moderate period cramps that we can cope with simple painkillers, simple coping mechanisms like, tolerating the pain through exercises or breathing techniques.
Right.
So why do some
Over
people...
the years, I've experienced...
I'm sure.
I mean...
women
the
that
different
have,
girlfriends over
Of
the
course,
years,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And some of them are they're very normal.
Yeah.
But I remember a couple of them, they were almost like in
Keeled
paralysis
over, right?
during
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
It's so painful for them.
So why is it that some women have more pain than others then?
Well, there are many causes to period cramps, and therefore some ladies do have a pathology, a cause to the period cramps to make it more severe. Of course, we begin with, most of us, we have primary dysmenorrhea, as we call it. That means we have period cramps as a young girl, and as we grow older and have fertility, give birth to babies, the pain goes away. So that is normal, per se. If it's not primary dysmenorrhea, then the period cramps needs to be investigated further. There are many causes of severe period cramps, including endometriosis, which I'll explain later. There is adenomyosis, whereby the wall of the womb is diseased, causing period cramps, to name a few. So if your period cramps is more severe than normal, affecting your daily activities, then I think you should seek a specialist's help to investigate further.
Okay, all right.
Okay, let's continue to talk to Dr. Wei-Stekly on the Big Show TV. Meantime, here's MGK and Jelly Roll, Lonely Road on Kiss 92.
So I don't think men would ever understand this, but I just want to say it out.
That's why I've been
no,
looking forward
it's
to
true.
this.
Yeah.
I want to be educated.
I don't think men would ever understand this. Will women or girls with period cramps, are they and should they be given an MC to take a break from work or school?
Okay, so this does happen now and then. I do have many women who come to me for MC because they just cannot function, right? The pain is so crippling that they can't get out of bed. They have to pull themselves to my clinic to get an injectable painkiller to curtail their pain. So it is quite a thing. Some even vomit or faint because the pain is so severe. So I do give MCs for ladies like this who cannot cope with their pain. But of course, we need to investigate further so we can find the cause so that we can treat to prevent them from taking further MCs from work or from school.
But you know what? If I were a woman and I had period cramps that were so bad, I would definitely go and try to get an MC.
Yeah, for sure.
of
But like
course.
she said,
I mean, as
you have
a-
to drag yourself to the doctor because already you're so in pain. All you want to do is kind of like curl up in a fetal position and lay in bed,
Yeah.
because it makes it feel better, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I went through this with my girls as well.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
they were growing up.
Your girls experience a lot of pain.
Really bad. Really bad. Yeah. So I kind of know. I don't know the pain, but I know
To stay away from them during that time.
Yeah, the vision of it and staying away from them. You were saying that exercise and breathing is one way to cope with it. Is there any way to prevent this pain?
So it depends whether it's primary dysmenorrhea. That means, there's no actual cause to that. It's just how your uterus and hormone is. If you have a cause for that, like a pathology for the
Right.
period cramps, then of course we need to treat that.
Treat that, yeah.
Right? Whether it's surgery to remove the ovarian cysts due to endometriosis, or whether it's surgery to remove the whole womb because the period pain is caused by adenomyosis. So all these are medical terms, but they are causes of severe period cramps. If it's primary dysmenorrhea, then to prevent it, in addition to exercise, breathing mechanism, sometimes they do say diet plays a part as well. So a balanced, healthy diet, multivitamins may be important for your girls, so that you get all the important nutrients and minerals to optimize your body
Right.
to cope with the period cramps. Of course, my mother would say, do not drink cold water. I didn't learn that in medical school, but
heard a lot of that.
I know it does work for many of my patients. So if it works for you, then follow that.
Why
Right,
not?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Why not, right?
Feels like a very Asian thing, huh?
Don't drink cold water.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have some expert patients coming to me and say, I'm following, your mother's advice.
Right, because
and
it works.
My menstrual cramps improved. No
and,
cold water.
and then the hot bottle as well.
Yes,
the hot
water bottle.
Yeah.
I found some of my patients picking up yoga, and somehow the stretching and the core exercises and breathing
wow.
helps them to cope with the menstrual cramps. But of course, we have simple painkillers as well, right?
Okay,
Like your
yeah.
paracetamol, ibuprofen, and those do not work, then you can upgrade to like the oral contraceptive pill, which has been shown to control your menstrual cramps as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And in addition to that, you've got the hormonal coil, which you can keep in your womb, and that has been proven to reduce menstrual
A
cramps.
coil. Wow. Okay.
Can be used for contraception as well.
Okay.
In addition, yeah.
So you spoke about adenomyosis,
Adenomyosis, yeah.
and endometriosis.
That's
can you
right.
can you explain a little bit more?
So endometriosis is a chronic condition whereby the lining inside the womb is also found outside the womb. And these can be found in your ovaries, in your fallopian tube, in the pelvic cavity, or even your bowel or your bladder. So can you just imagine every time when a lady with endometriosis has her menses, not only does the inner lining breaks down to form menses through the vagina, these parts of pockets of endometriotic tissue, that means the womb lining outside the womb, will also bleed during the menses.
Oh wow.
So you're also not just bleeding out, you're also bleeding inside your pelvic cavity from all these spots of diseased
Right.
tissue. And you can imagine that will cause inflammation and cause
Pain as
severe
well.
pain.
Okay.
So that's endometriosis. About 1 in 10 women will have endometriosis.
Oh.
But of course, it's very variable. 10% of these women will not have symptoms. So they will never know.
10%
goodness.
of the 1 in 10.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Will not have symptoms at all. Very silent. It is very variable.
Is that a worry if you don't have symptoms, or it's fine if
I
you're
think
not
it's
bleeding?
good. So, ignorance is bliss sometimes. So, you don't go see a gynae, right? And then
Yeah.
you never know you have endometriosis. But it's also been shown that endometriosis, out of the women that has fertility problems, 30 to 40% have endometriosis.
Wow.
So
okay.
maybe you're right. Maybe it's not so good to not have
know.
symptoms,
Yeah,
right?
not know. Yeah.
Yeah. Adenomyosis, on the other hand, is like the cousin of endometriosis. Adenomyosis is when the inner lining of the womb goes into the wall of the womb, making the wall of the womb bulky and diseased. And so therefore, when you have your menses, not only everything comes out as blood, you're also bleeding within the wall of the womb.
Wow.
Causing more pain.
Okay. Which
Yeah.
is worse, or they're both terrible?
They're both terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you have symptoms.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go back on it.
Okay.
Stand by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Okay, we had Isaac message in earlier that traffic is almost at a standstill on the KJE towards the PIE due to an earlier accident that I did mention. So once again, quite a bit going on out there on the BKE towards the PIE before the KJE exit, an accident. On the ECP into the city after the East Coast Park car park F3 exit, avoid the rightmost lane, yet another accident. And on the MCE towards the ECP before the Marina Boulevard entrance, look out for a broken down vehicle. Wherever you are today, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for today is Dr. Wei-Stekly, obstetrician and gynecologist from Gleneagles Hospital. And we've been talking about a woman's pain, endometriosis, period cramps, and heavy bleeding. You know, how do you stop the pain? And I know Angel might want to ask Dr. Wei-Stekly about endometriosis once again, because we spoke about it earlier on The Big Show TV. And I'm sure many of you have questions right now on Facebook. Keep those questions coming in. And one such question I'm sure many guys and women may want to ask, and maybe they come up to you and they ask you, since we're talking about periods and all that, pads or tampons?
Yeah, it's a valid question.
What would you recommend?
It is a valid question.
I think it's personal preference.
Yeah.
Some women, they are not comfortable with putting tampons inside the vagina. So many women are more comfortable with just wearing a pad.
Right.
But I have other active young ladies, especially when they're in competitive sports, they find sanitary napkin not so suitable because of all the movements in sports, and so they would prefer tampons.
Right.
So I think it's your personal preference.
But the tampons are safe, because in the
Tampons are
past there were reports and all that. You know,
I
so
know.
women
The
were
toxicity.
were quite cautious.
Exactly,
Toxicity.
but of course, don't forget to remove it by the end of the day.
Yes.
Right? Which happens sometimes, by the way.
What about menstrual cups? And those are fine. Again, personal preference.
Personal preference, that is actually coming into popularity.
Yeah.
Especially among my Japanese patients.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, just have to try it out and see which one is suitable for you.
Okay, all right. We have before we go on to you explaining about adenomyosis as well as endometriosis, we have a question that came through our WhatsApp, and someone said, I'm in my mid-40s and I have both adenomyosis and endometriosis. If I were to do a laparoscopy, how do you pronounce that? Laparoscopy for these conditions, what are the chances of recurrence?
Okay. So it depends on the severity of your disease, whether it has spread to other parts of the pelvic cavity, and also your wishes. Are you still wishing for fertility in future? Are you okay with removal of the uterus, or do you want to conserve your womb? So all these factors and questions will need to be discussed with your gynecologist so that the proper advice can be given with regards to the success of the surgery and the prevention of recurrence.
Okay.
Most gynecologists like myself nowadays will also advocate a pill called the Dynogest. It's a hormonal pill that we give after your surgery for endometriosis to delay the recurrence.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that has been a magical medication that's come about maybe 10 years back. That's what we do. So that you would need to discuss with your specialist so that a formulation of the best treatment for you can be discussed.
Okay.
So
all
with
right.
these conditions, do they eventually lead to a hysterectomy?
No, because there are many it depends again on the severity of the symptoms.
Right.
We all know that endometriosis regresses during pregnancy and it resolves during menopause. So it's like a game. It's like us against endometriosis.
Wow.
So it's like a game whereby we do surgery or we take medications to try to control the symptoms and improve quality of life for that period of time. Because once you reach menopause, and the average age is in Singapore is about 50 to 51, your problem solves. Your
On its own.
On its own, yeah.
So it's about who reaches there first in the
Yes.
best possible way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not everyone needs surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a very important question from Eddie, but we'll ask it on the Big Show TV about parents of young girls.
All
so
right.
we'll have that question.
We are speaking to Dr. Wei-Stekly right here on The Big Show TV. It is Good Morning Doctor Day. It's 8:20.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you by
So Eddie has said, just wanted to ask, as parents, what are some of the signs that we need to look out for of our young ongoing school children that experience their period for the first time?
Okay.
Yeah.
As in,
Like how, I guess, like how do they manage it? You know, not new parents, but parents of teens or parents of prepubescent girls.
Okay.
How do they? What are the signs they need to look out for? Maybe that the period's gonna come for the first time, or how to speak to them.
So I myself I have a 12-year-old girl.
Okay.
And so it's very good now. School systems in Singapore, they do have a subject teaching girls about when their menstrual cramps will come and what to do, how to wear your sanitary napkin. So I think we are lucky in Singapore that the school has somewhat prepared the adolescent kid before the menses come. But I think for me myself, as a gynecologist, I do speak to my child from the age of 10. At 10 years old, I speak to her about, it's natural. Why do you get our menses? And when you do have your menses, come to me. I'll teach you how to put on your first sanitary napkin. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. We all go through it. It's part of growing up.
Yeah.
And I will talk to her about the hormonal changes, about her body, about her pimple, about, the breast buds and things like that. So I do give educational pep talks like that to my daughter every year since the age of 10.
Okay.
And now she's 12. We're still waiting.
Okay, so wait.
So I'll still continue to talk to her every year. So once they have it, I think it's about just being understanding and empathetic, right? Because we've been through it before.
Yeah.
And just sharing tips on, like, you are having your menses today, maybe don't wear white jeans. Would you like to wear a denim skirt instead? Things like that.
Yeah.
But I think the new generation, we kind of have to be really tactful about it.
Choice
especially
of
when
words.
especially when they're teenagers and going to puberty, because they're all can be quite emo, right?
Yeah,
So,
they're very sensitive.
yeah, you can't be like my mom was with me, like, don't wear that, change. You have to what do you think? Would you like to change it to a denim skirt instead?
Make it their idea.
Yeah. Like give suggestion and make it their choice.
Yeah. Samantha has come on and she says, I remember Dr. Wei-Wei because you were one of the team of doctors at KKH when I did my myomectomy in 2009.
Oh.
So she'd like to say hello.
Hello. Hi, Samantha.
Another question coming through on our Facebook is about menses and frequencies. There's this question, and then I have another question. The question is it a concern if you have menses 3 times a month?
Okay, that is not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, if you have menses 3 times a month, that's only 30 days in a month.
Yeah.
That means you must be wearing a sanitary napkin the whole month.
The whole month.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she needs to see a specialist because that's not normal at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides
that needs
the
to be
ones-
investigated.
Besides the once a month, what is abnormal? Some people have it once every 2 months.
Okay, so if someone is not menopausal, the rule of thumb is that you need to have at least 4 menses in a year, at least. So therefore, that will be once every 3 months.
Oh.
Because if you do not have at least 4 menses, studies have shown that your risk of getting precancer of the inner lining of the womb or cancer of the womb goes up.
Wow, okay.
Right.
Yeah. So there are ladies who get irregular menses like that. For example, they have polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a condition with hormone imbalance, and they do have irregular menses like this.
Okay.
The question I wanted to ask is this irregular menses cycle that you have, can it be attributed to weight as well?
Absolutely. I do have many patients that come to me with no menses for a year. And when you measure their BMI, their body mass index is less than 18. Especially teenagers and young adults, weight can be a problem. Of course, anorexic patients, and even just normal eating 3 meals but only eating salad and salmon, sometimes it's not sufficient. If your BMI is less than 18, it's going to be most likely mess up with the hormones in your brain, and therefore that eventually will make your menses not come.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned briefly PCOS just now,
Yes.
polycystic ovary syndrome.
Yes.
And this has come up. Can you explain a little bit more about it? Because what I found on the internet is that it's a hormonal condition that affects women of reproductive age.
Yes.
And usually starts during adolescence, but symptoms may fluctuate over time. How does this affect a woman? And does it affect her ability to have babies because it starts so young?
So polycystic ovarian syndrome is diagnosed using 3 criteria, and you satisfy 2 out of 3, you are diagnosed as PCOS by the gynecologist. First is when you have irregular menses. Second is if you have excessive androgen, that means the male hormone in your body, and that can be tested by examining you to see if you've got more hair, more
Right.
pimples, more, male hormone in your body, or you can just do a simple blood test. And lastly, if when you scan, the ovaries have polycystic cysts around the ovary.
Okay. I'll ask you that again.
Okay, hold on, doctor.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Okay, taking a look at what's happening on the roads. On the CTE towards the AYE before Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5's exit, look out for a broken down vehicle. Also on the BKE towards the PIE before the KJE exit, another accident. Wherever you are this Wednesday morning, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. We are speaking to Dr. Wei-Stekly, obstetrician and gynecologist from Gleneagles Hospital. And somehow, all the important questions we've been asking, Dr. Wei-Stekly has been on The Big Show TV. You notice that?
Yes, yes. Very, very
Yeah,
important
your timing's
stuff.
a bit off today, Angel.
Okay, I'm sorry. But
No,
you
I'm
know
kidding.
what? If you're just tuning in now and you don't have the time to watch us on The Big Show TV, you can always go back to our Facebook and YouTube channels and watch it in your own time because it's there perpetually. So my question on The Big Show TV was about PCOS. This is a common hormonal condition that affects women of reproductive age, also known as polycystic ovary syndrome. Can you explain it to us?
Okay, so PCOS, as I was talking about earlier, is usually diagnosed from these 3 criteria, and if you achieve 2 out of 3, you will be diagnosed by a specialist as PCOS. First will be having irregular menses. Second will be having excessive male hormone in your body, and this can be diagnosed if you have excessive hair maybe on your chin, on your chest, on your legs, or having acne on your face, or just doing a simple blood test. And the third criteria will be when you scan, you see polycystic ovaries. That means small little follicles at the periphery of your ovaries. So that's how we diagnose PCOS. Ladies with PCOS have irregular menses. Some do not even get their menses. What else? They have fertility problems, as you mentioned, because they do not ovulate every month.
Okay.
So fertility may be a problem for them. Interestingly, you mentioned about hormonal. Yeah, it is a hormonal condition because we have found that ladies with PCOS will have a higher risk of getting diabetes or high blood pressure later in their life. So we need to also advise them to lose weight and to have a healthy lifestyle, exercising, healthy diet to prepare for the future.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness. See, if you're too thin, there's a problem.
If
If
you're
you're
overweight, there's a
carrying
problem.
too much weight, there's a problem
Also a
as well.
problem.
Of
Yes.
course. So is there a cure for PCOS?
Many ladies in other parts of the world are started on metformin, which is a medication, a diabetic medication
It
actually.
is, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But in Singapore, it's not routine. We do not start that immediately. We just say lifestyle modifications first, like exercising, make sure your weight is in the normal BMI range, ensure that you have regular menses, at least 4 menses in a year. If not, we will induce with medication, or we can start them on the oral contraceptive pill to regulate their menses. And when they come to the phase whereby they want fertility, then there are medication to induce ovulation
Right.
to help them with their pregnancy. So it's more like phase by phase. We help you through it, and like I said, once you achieve menopause, then
Everything's Solved.
Yeah. And then we need to watch out for diabetes and high blood pressure.
Oh my
Oh boy.
Not all peacocks will get that, but if you
Okay.
know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, we've kind of run out of time. I mean, it's been wonderful speaking to you, Doctor. But before we let you go, what is the one thing you wish for Singaporean women to take away from this interview here today?
I want to tell you that if you have severe menstrual bleeding or you have severe menstrual cramps, do not suffer in silence. Please seek help. I think it's really important you see a gynae so that we can diagnose and then find the appropriate treatment for you so that we can improve your quality of life.
That's a good
Very true.
message.
All right. Go look for Dr. Wei-Stekly, I say. Once again, her practice is at Gleneagles Hospital. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to The Big Show's Good
Ta-da!
Like magic.
We have Farhanna Farid in the house. Good morning, Farhanna.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you
Yeah, thanks
so
for
much for
coming
joining us.
in.
Want to say hello to your father, who
Oh,
might be watching right now. I don't know whether he's watching, but later on the radio, we'll say hi
we'll
as
say
well.
hello.
Farid! What's up? What a cool, beautiful daughter you have.
I'm on it.
So is your dad also a power lifter?
He's not.
He's not. Okay, so how did this powerlifting come about then?
Well, let's see. It was by chance, really.
Okay.
So I dabbled in long distance running back in uni, probably running away from my problem, trying to delay assignments. I wasn't very good at it, so I kept getting injured. And at that point, I was getting together with my boyfriend, then husband now, so I wanted to spend more time with him. And then I had all this energy from like not being able to run. he bought me a gym outfit. So now I have an outfit. I have to go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Check it out. So that's how it pretty much started. So I stepped into the gym, I shadowed him, and then one fine day, the boys sort of had a mock meet where they were testing like their 1 rep maxes. They wanted to see how much they could squat, bench, and deadlift. And
Right.
as usual, I got sucked into it, and I deadlifted what was back then above the national record. And I had not been training, so quote unquote had casually lifted above the national record. I didn't know what that meant back then. So it took him to sort of like recognize that moment and be like, you know what, you just lifted something really quite silly and you're not formally trained. I think there's something to this.
What was the weight?
I think it was something like 145. I didn't even know.
Oh my goodness, 145 kilograms.
That sounds heavy.
Wow.
Well,
That yeah.
I will
That's
have
a
a
lot.
problem lifting 145
And that was
kilograms.
she said that was just casually. She was like, "Yeah,
A
okay."
deadlift, is it?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was alright.
Impressive.
It was alright.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Now she's like, I'm lifting triple. that."
Exactly, and it's not like you're a huge lady.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you see lots of male powerlifters, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they're extremely. Some of them look overweight. I mean,
Yeah,
quite
they do.
frankly.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
do.
over the years, it's improved. You know,
Yeah,
you
you're
see
right.
more and more of them. You know, in pretty
Looking
good
fitter,
shape and all
yeah.
that. But I mean, look at you. You look great.
So,
I
thank
mean,
you
I'm
so
sure when you
much.
first went to the gym, it was more about. You know, just doing it for health,
Yeah.
and it's more body sculpting than anything.
Right.
Not so much strength, but now it's strength training.
Definitely, yeah. Like in the beginning, it was because I was following his bro split, right? So
Right.
Monday was chest day, Tuesday was like
Right.
back day and legs day, and I was just like following him and sort of just learning about my body because I had severe imbalances because I was a runner, so my legs were overly developed, but my upper body was like skinny, and then my shoulders were rounded forward. I was like, he was like, and he's really OCD, so for him it's all about balance and aesthetics, right?
Right.
Like he was like, okay, we need to fix that imbalance. So it was more of like fixing weaknesses and imbalances, and then it turned into like
A strength.
training.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When did it turn into I'm going to compete?
So I think that moment at the gym, like that fateful day with the boys, right, where we were doing the mock meet, was probably a turning point where we were like, you know what? There's a chance that we could pursue this and this could go potentially quite far. And he was like, you know what, why not we just engage you a proper coach, like just not shadow me around. Let's legitimize this a little bit. So we engaged my first coach. I just signed up for my first meet and I haven't looked back since then.
Do you enjoy it then?
I do, and that's how we keep going, right? And I think I was also curious to see how far I could push myself. And because like the standards keep going up, I'm curious how far I could keep breaking the glass ceiling. And it seems like, you know, as long as I want it enough and I want to keep doing it and enjoy it, it just keeps breaking, I guess.
You make it sound easy, but I'm sure it's not. You know, in terms of nutrition, in terms of the correct way of training, we'll talk about that on the radio.
Sounds good.
Kiss 92 traffic.
All right, very quickly on the PIE towards the airport at the Clementi Avenue 6 exit, a vehicle's broken down. Also on the PIE in the other direction towards Tuas after Jalan Yunos. Avoid the rightmost lane. An accident has been spotted. And finally, on the SLE towards the CTE, another accident before the Mandai Avenue exit. Avoid lanes 1 and 3. Wherever you are this morning, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our second guest for this morning is our national powerlifter, Farhanna Farid. Good morning, Farhanna.
Good morning. She's a 2-time Asian champion, a 4-time national champion. As of 2 years ago, you've broken 6 Asian records and a world record, and you're also the first Singaporean to win an overall gold medal in an international competition for the females open category. Congratulations.
Awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Sounds great when you say it all like that, right?
I should come here more often.
I know. She's like, I sound so impressive right now.
That's because you are impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Daddy is very proud of you as well. Good morning, Farid. You should be very proud of this lady. Now, you make it sound, because we were talking about it, on the Big Show TV earlier on. Maybe for the people who are not watching us right now, what was the spark, once again? I know we asked you
Yeah.
this already. What was the spark that got you into powerlifting?
So it was my partner, really, my husband, who exposed me to it and showed me that I was actually capable of way more than being a cardio bunny at the gym. And that really surprised me because I didn't think I was remotely strong or potentially even good at something called powerlifting. I didn't even know what powerlifting was back then. But I think seeing my strength and capabilities grow through the months and years of training sort of sparked that interest to take it to the next level.
Okay, you make it sound so easy, like I mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
But there's nutrition
Yes.
involved, and there is the proper technique.
Definitely.
Like I think you were very blessed that when you first tried powerlifting, you had people around you who knew how to teach you the correct technique, because doing it wrong, could get you injured.
Exactly, 100%. Like it could be potentially career ending, or you just sent you straight to retirement, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the best thing we did was to engage a coach for me who knew what the ins and outs of powerlifting were, and like you said, sort of laid out my foundations and sort of took it from there instead of going too crazy with it from the get-go. And I think laying out my basics, getting things done correctly from the start sort of set the tone to do this long term and make it more sustainable, if you may. Yeah.
Now, you obviously weren't born a powerlifter, and neither was it your job before. You were a pharmacist.
Yeah, I was, exactly.
Wow. Okay, tell us a little bit more about that journey. You still do that, or
No,
it's
so-
powerlifting all the way?
Exactly. So as of last year, I decided to take powerlifting full time, and because I coach full time now as well. So for the longest time when I started powerlifting, I was a pharmacist still. So I did it for about 6 years or something, and my bosses back then, they were super supportive. They loved that I was competing, and they kept supporting my journey. They allowed me to do it on the sideline. But then after COVID, I got burned out really working the front line, and I wanted to see how far I could go if I didn't spread myself so thin. I could just focus on that one thing. And then it sort of became a natural transition where I stopped doing pharmacist work and took on more coaching work and more powerlifting work, and it felt like a natural transition to things.
I just can't stop
Yeah.
staring at her arms.
Yeah, it's got
I'm just
amazing.
like-
And that's what I was just about to say. Powerlifting has changed so much.
Yeah.
Back in the day, one would just eat as much as
Yeah.
he or she wanted.
Yeah.
They would get the energy from that. But now
Exactly.
it's so different.
Yeah.
Now, apart from just the powerlifting part,
Yes.
what other exercises do you do to strengthen, these body parts?
Definitely. So in the past, like you said, it was like a mass moves mass kind of equation, right?
Yeah.
But I think now everyone's going into the more holistic, more wholesome sort of training. So on top of powerlifting, which centers around squat, bench, and deadlift, there's also the element of bodybuilding. To sort of sustain and support that strength training and sort of fill in the gaps, because we're pushed to our end range motion all the time, and we move in one single plane, right? So there's a lot of rehab mobility work that I do as well, and on top of that, of course, nutrition.
Right.
You gotta dial it in to support the training.
Right. Because powerlifting itself is low reps. It's usually 1 rep, 2 reps, and all that.
Typically, yeah.
But in your training, you probably do a bit lighter, but more reps.
Exactly, yeah. So now, so that was the probably mindset in the past, where it was just just 1 rep, because it's what we do for competition, right? The single reps. But now I think more coaches see the value of cardio lifting, for example. They want the athlete to be able to lift weights, but to be able to run for the buses if they have to, right? Yeah.
Okay, we're speaking to Farhanna right here. Farhanna, of course, is our national powerlifter. We're so proud of her. We'll continue to talk to her on The Big Show TV. Meantime, here's a new one from Lisa, Moonlit Floor on Kiss 92.
So, Farhanna, you are a winner in so many ways, in so many categories. But when you talk to female athletes, there are always challenges they face, so much more than the men do, unfair as that may be. Can you tell us of any of the challenges you've had to face and how you overcame them?
So as a female athlete, for example, from the beginning, I think I had to cope with my changing body amidst all the noise and chatter about what was accepted, right? What was considered safe for a woman, how heavy should a woman lift, how muscular should a woman be, or she shouldn't be muscular at all. And I needed to cope with that and looking different. So in the beginning, like I had to admit, I was not comfortable with gaining muscle because I was not used to it. And like, the ecosystem.
The bulking up.
Exactly.
And,
And,
So you didn't have muscles before. You were more or less, you were quite thin.
Yeah,
lean and-
exactly. Because I was just a runner, right?
Right.
And you don't see, like back then, like big, burly women, unless they were like into bodybuilding and stuff. So it wasn't something you see in like the social media back then, right? So I had to grapple with that. I think it helped that I had a really supportive partner who sort of made me focus on how I felt, like not just physically, but mentally and psychologically. And so I saw that there was that mental resilience that I gained on top of the physical gains. And I learned to be comfortable in my own skin after that. But I think bigger than, I guess, challenges as an athlete, a female athlete are the other challenges as a female coach. Because I think back then I felt like I didn't have that much street cred. There weren't that many female coaches, especially in the local scene. So I felt like people didn't really trust me or they didn't really believe me. So there'll be moments at the gym where I'll be training with a buddy and he was experiencing some problems. And so I would offer like, hey, maybe you want to try this and that. And more often than not, it would just be like disregarded until
Right.
another guy like agrees with it, and then I have to resist that. I told you, man. I told you. But then over time, like I guess I let my track record show, and I try to lead by example. So naturally, things took a turn. Yeah.
Right.
your husband is a powerlifter as well.
He is.
Okay. Does it help, obviously, like for
100%.
both of you to be doing the same?
It does. Like,
It
'cause
does, right?
you do sing the same song and you work towards similar goals. And he calls me out, for example, if I'm sandbagging, like, that's too light, like you're just playing it safe. You're being lazy,
Right.
And so it's good. We push ourselves.
Yeah, that's so important in
push each other.
powerlifting, right? Just pushing each other.
Exactly,
Pushing each other,
yeah.
but keeping each other safe.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because it's easy to push.
So what would you say to, because for me, when I look at powerlifting, right, first thing I think is my back.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. But I mean, there are women listening to us, there are girls listening to us
Yeah.
that want to do this sport. How big is the female community, firstly, in Singapore, and how does one get started?
So the female community is growing. We've had a competition day where it's just fully dedicated to females. Like we've grown that much. I think it's up to like 20 or 30% now. So it's growing.
Oh,
but
nice.
It's not quite there where I want it to be. And interestingly, we've had athletes who started becoming athletes when they turned 60, when they received their pre-osteoporosis diagnosis. And the doctor was like, hey, you know what? I think you should consider some resistance training,
Oh, okay.
some strength training. So they signed up at a gym that sort of catered to powerlifting. And she ended up becoming one of our masters athletes. So in powerlifting, because you compete in your own age and weight categories, right? So it's a level playing field. So you can end up being an athlete at like 20, at 30, or even 50, or 60, or 70.
And she was 60, you said?
She was 60.
Wow.
And she has competed for Singapore, like internationally. So anytime, like you can be a powerlifting athlete at any time of your life. And honestly, I think the barrier of entry is really low. It's easy to ease into it. And even if you have a messed up back, you have a messed up knee, like everything can be trained up to it.
Yeah. The problem with some people is they don't feel like it's worth that investment.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, you need a coach. You need a
Yeah.
personal trainer or whatever to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
many
true.
people don't want to spend that money.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I think many people don't go forward and try it on their own, which is the right thing, I
Yeah.
think. Like for
Don't
example,
do it on
Angel,
your
you
own,
want to
no,
try,
no.
for example,
Yeah.
go to the gym today. Yeah, I want to try
Yeah.
145
I
kilograms,
would
and then you
not,
hurt
right?
yourself.
I would
Exactly.
not.
Yeah.
But there's some people who are like that, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
can do it. Let me
looks
just go and
easy.
just try
Looks
this
easy
deadlift
enough,
right
yeah.
now, and then you
The
end
back.
up hurting
That's
your
true, that's
back.
true.
Yeah. What's one thing, I mean, as obviously we're not powerlifters, but something unexpected about the sport that you can share with us that...
Let's see. Well, okay, firstly, I think there's a misconception that it's weightlifting, right? So weightlifting
Yeah.
is an Olympic sport where you throw weights over your head. And powerlifting is just a one plane sort of movement. So I think, like
So
I
it's
mentioned...
just up and then down,
yeah,
right?
it's literally squat, bench, deadlift, just one singular plane of motion. And it's really, really safe, actually, compared to what most people think. And like I shared, like you can actually be an athlete at any time of your life. And more often than not, we see sort of people who were athletes in their past and sort of they want to kickstart something else, and maybe some people who have retired and they're like, I'm kind of bored, I want to get into something now, I want to go to the gym and work towards something, right? More often than not, that ends up being powerlifting. So I feel like powerlifting is like a second chance in like your fitness journey or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you train? Which gym do you train
So I
at?
train at Pure Fitness,
Okay,
Neon City.
Neon
Yeah.
City.
Neon City.
I have so I went to F45 some years ago, and one of my trainers was a powerlifter, Mika.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Mika
Very
Keys.
good friends.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a powerlifter.
He's great.
Elise was one of my F45
No way.
trainers
Okay,
as well.
okay.
yeah.
Oh, small world.
Yeah.
This is his wife. Oh, we love him.
Husband and wife.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, there we go. The formula works. Right?
Yeah, but she doesn't powerlift, right?
No, she doesn't.
No,
She does her
yeah.
own thing. She does strength training. And it's great.
Yeah, she's, yeah.
That's a good balance already.
It
like,
is.
you know, F45 is a little bit of
Athletic,
cardio
yeah.
and, you know, strength training as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So that's good. Always nice to strike a balance.
It is.
You know,
100%.
actually.
Yeah, that's essential.
So do you do regular workouts? Like, do you do like treadmills and yoga and Pilates?
How
and
many
all
times
that?
a week and what's your training like?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
do you do?
So I do strength training 4 times a week. Usually it's coupled with cardio. Like I'll just walk on the treadmill because that's really good for my back. Because usually, like in powerlifting, you sort of like you're bracing and you're sort of just being rigid all the time, right? So I realized I was feeling very breathless. I think it was because my ribs were just constantly locked in, and walking sort of helped to. You know, it's just us as humans, right? We're just
Yeah.
moving naturally when we're walking.
Yeah.
So that helped to unlock my back and stuff like that. And then on top of that, I do some like stretching, and I've been meaning to go back to Pilates.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
That's
okay.
important for mobility.
Okay, going back on air one last time.
Okay.
It's Niall Horan, Heaven, right here on Kiss 92, all the great songs in one place. Our second guest for this morning, and we've been having a great time speaking to her on The Big Show TV. She is Farhanna Farid, national powerlifter. So many accolades to her name right now, and awards as well. And we're hoping for more from you, Farhanna. No pressure. No pressure. But we're talking a little bit about your training routine for the benefit of people who, are looking for a routine for themselves and want to get a bit stronger like you, because you guys can never be like Farhanna. But you can
Wow.
be close to Farhanna. What would you recommend to someone who is inspired by what you've just been talking about and wants to start?
Well, honestly, I would recommend watching a powerlifting meet first to sort of get the feel, get the vibe of what it is exactly. And that's pretty much how I got interested in powerlifting. So there are a bunch of local meets happening, usually about 4 to 5 a year. And you can find like the schedule or like updates on it on Powerlifting Singapore's Instagram and on our website. And just go there as a spectator and just watch, and honestly it will be hard to not get inspired. And because I saw women doing it, I'm like, she looks scared, but then when she goes on the platform, it's like she transforms into something majestic
wow.
and confident.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like to feel that, I think I can do that. And that was pretty much how I got started. So I would recommend watching a meet first, and then engaging in probably like seminars or workshop at strength gyms. So I would recommend powerlifting centric gyms like Elevate Barbell Club or the Strength Yard, or sometimes Pure Fitness hosts like SBD seminars, and I'm usually the one leading it as well, and in workshops and stuff. So watch, learn from reliable sources, because you get a bunch online now, right? So go to people who have done it, who have long experienced it, and hopefully build a good, strong foundation first.
Right. I'm sure you have your social media platforms. How can people follow you? One is Farhanna Farid.
Triple D.
Triple D.
Yeah, because
That's
Farhanna Farid was taken.
Right.
Yes, I had to add 2 more.
Of
hey,
course.
same for me. My handle is GLE
We have the same stress.
Same problem, same problem.
There we go.
Yeah, Farhanna is active on Instagram. Once again, it's Farhanna Farid with 3 Ds.
Well, thank you so much, Farhanna, for joining us this morning, taking time off your training, I'm sure. Would you otherwise have been in the gym at this time?
Well, I would be waking up now.
Oh,
I'm
she's
late
not.
now.
She's not like a 5
I don't
a.m.
know.
Let's
I
go
used to-
running.
No, yeah.
Okay.
When I was a runner, that was me. But like training, it's like a little later in the
Okay,
day. You
okay.
get more calories in. You feel fueled up, right? And then usually like 4 to 5 p.m. is a sweet spot for me.
Oh, in the evening. Okay,
Yeah,
in the late
exactly.
Yeah,
afternoon.
same for me. If I wasn't doing this right now,
I'd
I'd be in
asleep.
bed.
I think that
Unlike
goes
these
for
two,
all-
these two are early risers.
Yeah.
These two are early. I can sleep till noon.
I'm an early riser only because of the show.
I have no choice. I've been doing this for so long. I go on holiday and get up at 6 a.m.
No, we're creatures of habit.
Well, thank you. It's been so much fun speaking to you, and we would love to invite you on the show again.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
In
Thank
future.
you so much.
Since
for
we know
having
she's not doing anything else at this hour.
I'm gonna start training now just to book up my slot.
Thank you so much, Farhanna.
My pleasure. Thank you.